I have 2 cats at home. They're mostly wonderful, except for when they're terrible. I think most cat owners know that their cats are smart and affectionate. Our cat Jasper, when I'm outside with him, he'll look at me, he'll look at the wall, he'll look back at me, and if I bend over, he jumps on my back and he jumps on the wall. And so there's this complex communication. Even though he can't talk to me, it's very clear to me what he wants, and it's very clear to him how to communicate what he wants with me. I'm David Grimm. I'm the online news editor at Science. So for a long time, scientists did not study cats and dogs when it came to studying what we call social cognition. This is the idea of studying how cats and dogs and other animals relate to us as human beings. There was this idea that everything we'd done over domestication had sort of created this kind of fuzzy signal. Whereas if you studied the mind of a chimpanzee or a crow, you're getting a purer signal because this is an animal that has not been bred or selected to live with people in any way. Now that all changed in 1998 when 2 independent labs showed that dogs could understand what we mean when we point at an object. So if you point at an object, or even a toddler understands, look at that thing. And when we do that with chimpanzees, they don't understand that at all. They have no idea what we're doing. But lo and behold, in 1998, a couple of labs showed that when they did that with dogs, dogs looked at the object. And this was really a shocker for the field. So today, there are more than a dozen labs around the world that study canine cognition. And yet, there's been almost nothing with cats. Researchers have largely ignored cats while they've been focusing a lot of energy on dogs. One of the reasons that scientists avoid studying cats is that they're very difficult to work with. You bring a dog into a laboratory, and for the most part, this dog wants to please you. So taking them to a lab is not a big deal. It's pretty easy to work with dogs. Cats are another story. A lot of cats are just kept in the home all the time, so taking them to a new environment is very scary for them. There was a study in 2005 that showed cats could do human pointing, but even in that study, a lot of the cats dropped out of the study, which meant they basically wouldn't cooperate. They either just left the room. A lot of them just sort of walked away from the testing site. For the most part, cats, after a few trials, they've had it. They're done, All these problems made it very difficult to do these studies, which is why even when this first study came out in 2005, nobody really followed up on it, including the lab that actually did the work. And it wasn't until about 5 or 6 years ago that we've started to see kind of this uptick again in people starting to look at cats again in terms of social cognition. Oregon State University, they're one of the big cat labs in the world, and one of the things that they're doing is really studying this social connection that cats have with people. One of the tests they do is called an attachment test, and basically what this involves is the owner and the cat will go into a room. And so the cat's kind of a little freaked out because they're in this room and they don't know what's going on, and yes, their owner's there, but whatever. And then the owner leaves, and then the cat's really freaked out, right? And the cats will tend to meow a lot, and maybe go in circles, almost if like they're kind of panicking. And then the owner comes back into the room, sits down on the ground, and often the cat will come running back to the owner. And then something very interesting happens. All of a sudden, they will leave the owner and they will start exploring the room, sniff out the corners. Maybe there's a toy on the floor, they'll play with the toy. And the average person will look at that and go, well, clearly the cat doesn't care about their owner. Their owner's there, and all the cat wants to do is explore the room. But it's actually the opposite that's true. The cat has such a close bond with their owner that they go, okay, now my owner's here, so now I am free to do what I like to do as a cat, which is kind of go out and explore. They also do this test, which an Italian group pioneered. Basically what it involves is, again, the cat and the owner are in this white lab room, and the researchers bring in this object. It's a fan with these streamers attached to it. And then the researchers will turn the fan on. So of course this fan's blowing, it's making a lot of noise, and cats will get obviously pretty freaked out about that. And then what the owner does is the owner is instructed to make nice with the fan. What a nice fan. What a lovely fan, Do you want to meet the fan? Do you want to touch the fan? Do you want to get to know the fan? And sometimes the owner will actually go up and touch the fan. And what's really surprising is some cats will all of a sudden, they kind of calm down, they'll approach the fan when the owner approaches the fan. And I even saw one situation where a cat went right up to the fan and just laid down right in front of the fan, which is kind of remarkable. This is an object that just a couple minutes ago was scaring the stuffing out of them. And all of a sudden, they're feeling comfortable now with it because they picked up on these emotional cues from their owner, like, oh, this isn't something I should be afraid of. And so all these things like following human gaze, understanding our emotional states, show that cats, very much like dogs, are very tuned into us, which makes a lot of sense. We're talking about creatures that not only have to live in our homes, but really have to anticipate, what do we mean when we do things? Are we angry at them? Are we happy with them? Do we want them to look at something? Do we want them to do something? Without them understanding that, it really would be fairly impossible for us to have the kind of relationship we have with these animals otherwise. Even though it looks like things are starting to come together for cat cognition, we've got a handful of labs around the world studying cats, we've got papers coming out. One of the big open questions is whether this is at the beginning of a big movement for cats, or whether it's going to continue to be a very niche part of science just because there's only a few people out there that are actually willing to work with cats. Some of the things they're interested in looking at is, can cats categorize things? So we know that dogs can actually, after a little bit of trial and error, figure out like if they're being shown a picture of a landscape or a picture of another dog. So you maybe show them a few pictures of lakes and mountains and you show them pictures of other dogs. And it turns out dogs can do that. And so now one researcher actually wants to try that with cats to see if cats can also categorize things. No pun intended, I guess. Cats have this reputation of being aloof and antisocial and even dumb when it comes to things like, oh, cats can't do tricks and all this other stuff. But what this research is showing is that whatever tricks dogs were able to pick up over the course of evolution, cats also picked up a lot of those tricks. It's just that we haven't spent enough time looking for them. We haven't found a great way to study cats. And once we do, likely we're going to see that there's a lot of complexity going on in the cat brain, and there's a lot of complexity in the relationship between cats and people. We just need to do the studies to find that out.